Hey there, Chika Samuels here, your fertility and lifestyle coach. So you've been given certain tasks and responsibilities that expect you to be accountable in this program. You see, by handing over full responsibility for your life or your fertility to fate or just sweating things out, knowing fully well that you have choices and you have free will, is akin to picking up a 1,000-piece puzzle and expecting it to solve itself. In my practice, for example, I have found that the male partner often take a particularly laid-back approach when it comes to their own responsibilities and their fertility and the partner's fertility. And here are some likely reasons. One, most times men are less attached to the outcome of having a baby. Another reason could be that they want to be the rock in the relationship, so they cannot afford to break down. Another reason is because they don't want to cause their partner undue stress or pressure. Another reason is that they don't fully understand fertility. This fertility thing seems mysterious to them. Or the fact that difficulty conceiving are not static, and that with the right approach, the right fertility approach could reduce miscarriage risk and infertility, and these things are changeable. Whatever the reason is, waiting and hoping doesn't get you a baby, especially because a woman's fertility is categorically finite. After menopause, a woman can no longer conceive without an egg donor if her partner's sperm is still in a reasonable shape, which is not the case for many men over 45, or a donor embryo. My patients over the years have taught me that deeply connecting with and reinforcing the why, you need to understand and reinforce the why of a certain behavior. This is the key to create long-lasting, sustainable change or habits. I have concluded that the greatest difficulty most people have, in making required changes, and even more importantly, in making those changes sustainable to make them last, come from first identifying the specific and effective tools and strategies that can help them arrive to the right mindset. Because there is a mindset that is required to make new and improved, daily choices out of habits. So to help my patients make these habits, which includes lifestyle and dietary modifications, I created a 3-step process that summarizes, various tried and tested tools to enable long-lasting habitual change. In this instance, you're using it to address lifestyle behavior, but you can use it for really anything you want to let go of, or anything you find that no longer serves you, like stress, anxiety, worry, addictions, and more. I call it the life modifier method. Starting afresh in any area of your life is as simple as these 3 key steps I'm going to be sharing with you. The first step is you have to acknowledge it. The second step is you have to feel it. The third step is you have to flow with it. I have organized these steps based on neuroscience and mindful research, and have successfully applied it over and over again, with lots of people, including myself. So here is an unsolicited word of caution that I'm going to give you though. Just reading about this methodology or listening to me in rebroadcast would change your life any more than if you have a supplement or a medicine left in a bottle that you're not using. You need to implement what you learn consistently. You need to transform in a way that leads to the results that you're looking for in your life. And I believe that you can. Now the choice is yours. So let's begin to look at the steps. The first step, like I said, is to acknowledge. Clarity is everything, trust me. Turning away from or ignoring or waiting it out, ignoring the discomfort is for the most part an ineffective strategy. The more you try to fight something, probably a craving for sweet tooth or a dissatisfaction or a fear, the more it grows and occupies your awareness. It takes root in your mind, in your heart. So the solution is simple. Do your best. Nothing more or less than your best. Your best is good enough, okay? So without trying to control the outcome, without deciding that you can only be happy if things turn out in the exact way you envisaged it in your mind, you open yourself to a wisdom greater than your own by simply doing your best. So the first step in facing anything is accepting it, acknowledging that it's there. You don't have to like it. You just need to objectively surrender. Yeah? So take the emotion out of it. There's nothing wrong with any particular situation. The meaning you choose to embed in it is what creates your experience of it. So when you choose to face something, your purpose isn't to label it. When you want to acknowledge, carrying out this first step, it's not to label it or to give it meaning. For example, you shouldn't say, I'm such a loser because I keep eating junk food and cake when I know I shouldn't. You're simply meant to see it for what it is. Example, I keep eating junk food and I know it's not helping me to achieve what I want. This is something I need to change. You see, the first statement puts you down. The second statement puts you in charge, and that's exactly where you belong. That's the only place really that you can change anything. So it doesn't matter that you might not yet know how to, change the issues that you're facing. You just need to acknowledge that it's no longer serving you and that you want to do something about it. So this first step puts you above the line in your power, a place of power where you are enabled to take action. So when people place their unrelenting focus on the ultimate thing they cannot control on their fertility journey, that is having a baby, this creates much unhappiness. When you control, what you can control is your response. When it comes to having a baby, you can adopt a healthy lifestyle, make better lifestyle choices, reduce your exposure to chemical, within your personal environment, like we have shared with you in our classes, to positively influence or even remove obstacles and minor critical factors that are present in your situation to optimize your fertility. It will never be your job to control your baby's development in the uterus. It will never be your job to control whether you're going to have a miscarriage while the baby is growing in the uterus or not. It will be your job, however, to feed your body and your baby the right nutrients. You get it now? So your behavior associated with having a healthy diet, a healthy lifestyle, creating the right environment, is what you need to focus your energy on. So use your energy wisely. Focus on doing your best in the areas in which you want to see changes for the highest good of all that is concerned. So it's that simple, yeah? So let's look at the second step. The second step, like I said, is to feel it. This process is an exercise. This step is an exercise in contrast, which leverages, what the human psychic prizes most, which is moving away from pain. It's human psychic want to move away from whatever doesn't give you pleasure, and move towards pleasure. But this step quickly connects you to why change is a must now, not for someday, not tomorrow, now. The purpose of this step is to link together all the cost of not changing now, aka the pain, the discomfort, So to understand how you benefit when you do take those steps towards pleasure. So by now, we have gone through the classes and we have identified some dietary and lifestyle habits that you would like to modify. You need to face it. Always think in terms of action or inaction on your part, instead of thinking in terms of something that you perceive is being done to you. Because even if the perception feels true at some level, there will be an action or inaction on your part making the situation possible. Do you understand? So pick something you have been stuck on, that you have not been able to do or shift in the past due to your own action or inaction, and it's causing you real or perceived pain. This issue will be what you set out to strengthen in this feel it step, this second step right now. So your job is to answer 4 questions on paper. You need to get a writing material because, you see, writing is the doing part of thinking and connects new, neural pathways in your brain. Plan to use at least 1 to 3 double-sided sheets for this question. Aim to come up with at least 30 to 50 answers to each of the example questions that I'm going to be mentioning to you. It's easy to come up with even more, because for each thing that you list, several other elements will spring to mind. So to elect and to become aware of other facets of the problem with each cost you write down, you have to ask yourself, why is this a problem? You will need to set aside about 1 or 2 hours to complete this exercise. No phones, no gadgets, all gadgets off, Get some water, get paper, tissues, pen, coloring material, whatever else you need, so you don't need to, search for things while you're completing this exercise. To do this properly, you need no interruptions, and I'm serious. And I promise you that when you're done, you will know. You will feel it in every fiber of your being that you're done, and you'll be able to implement whatever it is you're choosing to do differently with incredible ease. So let's start. So the first question is, what is it costing me right now? Physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, relationship-wise, and in any other area. What is it costing me right now to indulge in the need to eat damaging junk food? Remember, we're using junk food as our contest, yeah? You can change the junk food, to anything that you want to address, to any area of your life, from smoking, drinking coffee, not exercising, alcohol, hitting the snooze button too many times, laziness at work, any habit or any behavior you engage in that doesn't positively serve you and that you would like to change. You just need to be very specific. Choose something that is a result of a clear action or inaction on your part. I'll tell you a story. The first time I used this exercise, I wanted to stop eating chocolates. I had serious chocolate addiction. Addiction is defined as a continued use or engagement with a behavior despite adverse consequences. So given that I've been diagnosed with fibroids and I wanted to regulate my cycle, this was way, before I conceived. There were decidedly more adverse consequences, and I knew, to continuing in indulging in chocolates. So I was berating myself for not being able to stop, and constantly feeling bad that I was fighting this, lost battle. I could never do enough. Each time I eat, I feel like, I've gone back to square one, getting down on myself as a result of, I didn't understand. And this was because I didn't understand that acknowledgement step. It was infuriating. It felt like a self-defeating cycle. Enough was enough. And I arrived at the point where change was a must. I applied this exercise to the point of sobbing tears. It's still one of my most remarkable experiences. It showed me the power of linking up the costs and really feeling them instead of just intellectualizing them or trying or ultimately failing to explain them away and wishing that I'll feel better. So when I was done, I had broken the addiction. For 5 years now, I didn't even want to get near chocolates. Today, years have gone by, chocolate remains where it belongs all along, in the take it or leave it. Okay? It's pleasurable, yes, but it's no longer the obsession that it used to be. It was such a liberating exercise. So get clear and decide what you want to address. As you go along, you can dig deeper by asking yourself, what else is it costing me? How else is it costing me? Who else is being hurt or even damaged today or in the future by my continuing to do this? And if you're a guy, you can ask yourself, the alcohol, the smoking, the wrong lifestyle, what is it costing your spouse? When you feel you're running out of things to write down when you're doing this exercise, the well is deep. Be sure to empty it out completely. Link as much pain and suffering to the behavior you want to change as possible. Also, to involve as many areas of your life as possible in your answers. Only in doing so do you create, enough leverage over yourself to enable deep and lasting cognitive restructuring, which is called change. Okay. So once you have taken time, or these 2 hours, to squeeze out every last cost onto paper, don't think through this process. Put it on paper. Then you can move over to question 2. But be sure to add anything to any section that may come to mind while you're doing other parts of the step. You get? So if you think it, you should put it on paper. If you thought about it, put it on paper. The more you bring these thoughts, feelings, and these ideas to the light, facing them, acknowledging them, and feeling them, the easier they are to let go. Here is an example of a conversation that I once had with one of the trying parents that we worked with in the coaching session. So she said indulging in sugary treats and drinks, soda, is costing her to be overweight. And this is causing problems in her relationship. The question is, why is that a problem? She said, it makes me feel unattractive, retreats within myself. She's more inclusive. She doesn't want to go out. And I said, why is that a problem? She said, it disconnects me from my partner. Why is that a problem? I become snappy with my partner because I'm so unhappy with myself. Why is that a problem? He becomes snappy too in return. Why is that a problem? We fight. You see how it's going? Why is that a problem? We feel angry with each other. It destroys our bond. It weakens their relationship, and so on. So continue finding the links for as long as it takes. You will know when you're truly done. Trust me. The key really is to link the pain you usually associate with the outcome. You're linking it to the behavior that creates the results you are anticipating or you are experiencing. So the behavior is the only thing you can actually influence, like I told you. And it's usually also the roots of the original and many other associated problems. So let's look at question 2. What has it costed me in the past? Physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, and relationship-wise, and in every other area. I mentioned this 5 because those are the 5 paramount ways that people can relate to: physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, and relationship-wise. Has it costed me in the past to indulge in the need to eat damaging junk food, or cook with vegetable oil, or still indulge in caffeine and soda drinks? So this is about linking all the times in the past where this behavior has cost you and what specifically it has cost you. Eating of cake, eating pasta, gluten foods, flour products. You need to be as specific and unrelenting as possible in getting it all down on paper. What else has it costed me? How else has it costed me? Who else was hurt or even damaged because I engaged in this behavior? Remember, link as much pain and suffering as possible to the unhelpful behavior. Do your worst. This isn't about drumming up your guilt for long term, but if it's there, use it to the advantage, to the context of this exercise now. You can choose to release all of these feelings and emotions later and be grateful for them all. Once this question is answered completely, we can now move over to question 3. Question 3, what will it cost me in the future? Physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, and relationship-wise. These 3 aspects and every other way. To indulge in the need to eat damaging junk food. For me, this part of the exercise is one of the most rewarding. Give yourself the time. Write as much as you can, drag it out of your conscious and subconscious mind, really focus and give it your best. One of the things that made me stop eating chocolate altogether and release the hold it had on me, because it was strong, was acknowledging the cost of sugar in my beloved grandmother's life. I saw her very energetic. I grew up seeing her being the best of her, but I saw her become paralyzed and died a sad death as a result of uncontrolled blood sugar levels. She was diabetic, indulging in sweet beverages, which my mom unknowingly stocked her pantry with. Also, I lost a dear elder sister to an injury that could have been healed if she was not obese or hypertensive. I see my mom fighting the same battle because of lifestyle and dietary choices that was handed over from one generation to the other. So I'm taking a step to stop it in my generation. Those insights finally connected me to the understanding that I was digging my own grave and I was following the same pattern, eating the same thing, living the same way. I could link so much of my pain to my behavior. Suddenly, as I was completing this exercise, change became a must. And right then, I was free. However, this freedom came about because of the stacking I had to do. Everything I had written previously throughout the exercise, was very valuable. So don't just skip to the end of this step. It will not do you any good. It's not going to serve you. It will not work unless you systematically and by the method we are giving you, go through the process. Write it all down. Free yourself of whatever addiction that's had a hold on you when you started the exercise, you'll be so grateful, trust me, to yourself for making the effort and the time to do this. This is one of the exercises that I often have people who are participating in our, fertility coaching programs to do, because when it's done properly, it can be utterly life-changing. During the Soprecious coaching programs, for example, after completing this exercise, people typically send me a video describing their experience, most times in tears, and there's a lot of aha moments. They are usually elated and often surprised by the results. Whenever I watch these videos, I'm reminded that change in perspective is the ultimate miracle. And these are the powerful moments for participants and for me. I have shed many a tear of gratitude for being able to serve at ever-growing levels. So when you have round up every last cost for question 3, wrap it all up and move on to question 4. But before you do, let's talk a little bit about emotional leverage for a moment. So how do I create even more leverage on demand? I often tell people that permanent change happens when you create a high level of personal and emotional leverage over yourself. When change becomes a must for you, it could be that you may feel like you're feeling at your worst, but it's for your good. For me, I was overweight. My skin was full of acne. I couldn't go without makeup because I had a lot of things to carry. I'm talking to you. I don't have, apart from my lippy, which, is EWG verified anyways. But my skin is very clear now. But then my skin was full of big acnes, hormonal acnes. I was dealing with fibroids. I was looking pregnant, even though I wasn't pregnant. Sex was a horror. It felt like I was always treating infections and thrush. And these were not sexually transmitted. Needless to say, I was decidedly not where I wanted to be. I had just completed the cost exercise and was determined that at this time, it had to be different. Because of course, I had promised myself that I was going to quit chocolate and several other things that I was stuck with in the past, and I was ready to move forward. So something radical is often required in an exercise like this. There is this neuro-linguistic programming technique of replacing the thing you love the most with something utterly disgusting in your mind, and I would like to share that with you. I did this every time I thought about chocolate, but I took it to a whole new level. I decided that for the next year, after the exercise, anytime I bought any kind of chocolate to my mouth, it would have to be with an equal amount of my own poo. Every time I thought of chocolate, the abominable image of me eating my own poo immediately followed. It nearly made me want to puke because I was 100% ready to follow through. There was no letting myself off the hook this time. What I found was that because I was fully committed to this crazy idea and fully prepared to follow through, I never had, to do this exercise over and over again for the same cause. So don't let yourself off the hook. Unexpectedly, what happened in a short period of time was that the mere thought of chocolate left the building. It became so disgusting for even recollection. So when the year went up, there was no way in the universe I was going to touch that stuff anytime soon. Literally, the idea of it had become that disgusting. Only 5 years later was I curious about what would happen if I eat chocolate again. The infatuation was decidedly broken. Thousands of my people that I'm working with on the Soprecious coaching program have benefited from my being committed to this course that I'm sharing with you. So let's move on to question 4. Question 4 is, what will I gain? What's in it for me? How will I benefit in my life, physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, and relationship-wise, and in any other area? By choosing to let go of the need to indulge in damaging junk food. So be sure to write as many possible gains and benefits as your creative brain can dream up. Do your best. Do it properly. This exercise is a fantastic foundational catapult to life-changing results, I tell you. I like to keep this list handy when I'm done, and I recommend you do the same. Consistently review them to keep yourself moving in the direction that you envisaged. Once you have broken that infatuation with the old behavior, you can see that your life can and will be much better, without it. So it's time to implement the next step for your highest good and all that is concerned. So the next step is flow with it. Remember, we have talked about step 1 and step 2. The third step is flow with it. In nature, nothing is static. Mindfulness helps us to experience the difference between I have to eat well and avoid junk food, and I get to eat well and avoid junk food. The former statement is an inconvenient obligation. The latter is a prayer of gratitude. Mindfulness is an incredible, effective tool in helping people deal with the stressors of daily life, especially urban adults, stressors of mood instabilities, and the grief of infertility, miscarriage, or stillbirth. Typically, difficult feelings left unacknowledged lead people to a higher, likelihood of overeating or making poor choices regarding food. You see this often when people lose their ones. They go into this rage. They also create, many unavoidable health concerns. Conversely, a regular mindfulness practice delivers multiple health and fertility benefits, including improvement of erectile dysfunction, hormonal balancing, improves your metabolism, your stress and your reproductive hormones, increases conception chances, and the ability to take home a healthy baby. So I love to use the acronym RAIN, R-A-I-N. I love to use it to teach mindfulness. It's an acronym that stands for recognize, accept, inquire, and note. What I love about RAIN is that it is quick to use, easy to apply, and the more you exercise it, the more it helps you transmute daily challenges and gain many associated health benefits. So the first R, which is first letter R, recognize, is about pausing to acknowledge, like we've said in the past, and connect with the fact that you're feeling stuck. There's no need for any label or story or self-judgment. Just recognize it for what it is. For example, if you're experiencing a craving of some kind, you connect with that fact. Some of you are stuck with taking some certain type of beverage or soda. You can't live without it. You have to recognize it's about being consciously aware that something is in the present and that it feels in a certain way. It's that simple. Then we accept. That's the A. It's that moment where instead of trying to run or fight what it is, you mentally and energetically lean into the discomfort and allow it. We embrace and accept it for what it is. So if you're having a craving, experience and fully open yourself up to the texture of the feeling and the emotion it gives. Just allow it for what it is without the need to judge it or to make it any different. Sense it, experience it fully. There's no point trying to hide the elephant in the room. Simply appreciate its grace and its presence, yeah? So the R and the A in RAIN allows you to fully implement the first step that we talked about. They allow you to acknowledge it. So whatever it is, without judgment, so you can apply curious inquiry to what is in front of you and feel it. Once acceptance is in place, the next step is to inquire. Typically, our immediate reaction to a difficult situation is one of aversion. But when you acknowledge the cost of your suffering more deeply, it's possible to, experience a shift in your perception. I like to ask myself, what is this challenge, this situation, this perceived difficulty trying to, teach me? What is it trying to show me right now? Because everything comes to teach you something. Another wonderful question I often ask is, how does this serve me just as it is? Because ultimately, everything serves. The key is to allow this possibility rather than reject it, so you can discover how. Apply natural curiosity to uncover the layers, that momentarily cloud, our reasoning or our understanding. Once you make meaning out of those challenges, they transform before your eyes and your heart. Here are some great questions to get you started on your own, self-exploration with curiosity. You could ask yourself, where does this feeling want to lead me? This craving I'm having now, like if I don't take this soda beverage, my body will be shaking. Where is it leading you? What am I perceiving is missing right now? Do I need to take water? What am I really craving for? What is missing? Everything I need is already within me right now. What do I need to give or to show myself? How do I need to nurture myself right now? You will no doubt come up with more great questions on your own as you lean into this process. Finally, the N, note or non-identify, is a practice of brain. It allows you for mindfulness, So here you're observing and flowing with the situation. You don't try to fight it or rationalize it. It's almost as if you're a third-party observer, without any attachment whatsoever to the outcome. So this enables you to see that you are not the problem. In fact, you have no problems. Whatever the situation, it exists out of you. You don't own it. It doesn't belong to you. The true you isn't fused or bound to this situation. You get what I'm saying? Unless you choose it to be, okay? So the N requires no action. You simply, candidly, compassionately, observe. The more you do, the more you understand who you really are, what you are, how you serve. In turn, you understand how everything and everyone else serves you. Those cravings, that difficulty giving birth, or the miscarriages, the challenges, how are they serving you? In essence, rather than choosing to be, rigidly attached to any one thing or any one point of view, you flow with it. So I have a parting note. This isn't a process you go through once. It's not like being cured of some rare disease. It's like taking your bath every day. I recommend you review the list that you made in step 2 in order at least once a week for the first 3 months post completing this course. Then at least monthly for another 1 year, adding to your answers each time. If necessary, new things will come to mind. So as for step 1 and 3, let them be your constant, helpful companion. Each one of us is a project, don't forget. You're a work of art, a labor of constant conditioning and never-ending improvement. So the choice is always yours. You're never helpless. You can choose to be willing in the flow of life, sometimes gentle, sometimes fast, sometimes furious, always moving and growing, with the help of these tools, such as we have shared with you. Or you can choose to be stagnant and let external circumstances govern your reactions. You can stay in your unwillingness and feel as if you're being dragged through some deep pain and heartache, but decide you must. Will you learn through love or through pain? I certainly know which you prefer. You're free to choose what feels best for you. I recommend that you use and reuse these tools to your greatest advantage in every area of your life. Go ahead, use it for everything. The worst thing, someone said, what's the worst that can happen? The worst thing that will happen is that you will learn something that you can put to good use at some point down the track. When it comes to engaging, in the practice of optimizing your health, and your fertility, you could have no, better ally or no greater cheerleader than me in your corner. I know you can do this, and I trust you would. Now, prove it to yourself. You got more questions and you need clarifications? Let's talk in class.